A billionaire pauses the security footage and realizes something terrifying. The girl he just fired might be the only person who can save his entire empire. But it didn't start that way. It started at 2 a.m., on the top floor of a glass tower worth more than most people will earn in 10 lifetimes. The security footage is grainy, but there's no mistaking what's happening. A young woman in a cheap cleaning uniform stands in the CEO's private office, hands trembling as she photographs documents that could destroy everything. Floor-to-ceiling windows reflect her small frame against mahogany walls and leather chairs that cost more than her yearly salary. She's not supposed to be here. She's definitely not supposed to be going through those files. Her phone camera clicks softly in the silence, capturing page after page of confidential board documents. Then she does something even stranger. She pulls a small USB drive from her pocket. She glances at the door one last time and hides it inside a potted orchid on the credenza. Her fingers are shaking so badly she almost knocks the plant over. For a second, she closes her eyes and whispers something the camera can't capture. Maybe a prayer, maybe an apology, before she disappears into the corridor. To anyone watching, it looks like the perfect inside theft. Remember that USB drive. You'll want to know where it ends up. The man who owns that office built his life on never being caught off guard. 52, self-made. The kind of billionaire who still arrives at headquarters before dawn because sleep is for people who don't have anything to prove. His company, a tech giant that redefined cloud infrastructure, is worth $12 billion, and not a single dollar of that came from trusting the wrong person. His rule is simple. Trust is a luxury. Paranoia is survival. His wife died of cancer 3 years ago, faster than his money could fight, and whatever softness he had left hardened into something cold and sharp. The only person who can still break through that armor is his 22-year-old daughter, Yale graduate, brilliant, idealistic. She chose to work in the company's humanitarian division instead of climbing the executive ladder, something he pretends to be proud of, even if he secretly wishes she'd chosen power over purpose. She's the last person who can make him smile without trying, and she's about to become the center of a storm he never saw coming. That morning, everything looks normal. The executive elevator, the marble lobby, the familiar pressure of building something that will outlive him. But his head of security is waiting at his office doors, tablet in hand, jaw tight in a way that says, "This isn't routine." The footage plays without sound. It doesn't need any. For 6 months, the same woman has cleaned his office. For 6 months, she's been invisible to everyone, including him. Now, she's on screen, stealing the company's most sensitive documents. The files she photographed hold details of a $3.2 billion merger, the kind of deal that, if leaked, would tank the stock, ruin reputations, and make fortunes vanish overnight. He built this company on information security, on keeping secrets that matter. And someone he saw almost every day just walked out with the keys to the kingdom. That old familiar fury lights up in his chest. He felt it 15 years ago when a partner tried to steal his patents. He swore it would never happen again. In his world, trust is what weak people do. Smart people verify. And clearly, he hasn't been smart enough. She's on the morning shift when he arrives, pushing a cleaning cart down the corridor of the 42nd floor, probably thinking she got away with it. He doesn't say her name. He doesn't ask questions. Security is already there. 2 men in dark suits, polite but unbreakable. The words come out cold and clipped, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. Effective immediately, you're terminated for cause. You're under investigation for theft of corporate secrets. Hand over your badge. The way she looks at him, you'd think he slapped her. Her mouth opens, but no words come out. For a second, there's panic in her eyes, but not the kind that comes from getting caught cheating the system. It's deeper, like she's terrified of something bigger than losing her job. She finally manages to speak, voice cracking. "Please, just give me 5 minutes. It's not what you think. I can explain." He's heard every version of that line. Guilty people always want 5 minutes. He tells her the police are being contacted, that what she's done is a felony, that he trusted her, which makes this worse. Security leads her toward the elevator. Her shoulders shake, crying, or maybe something else, and he turns away. Because watching won't change anything. Quick question for you watching this. If you were in his position, would you have listened to her? Drop a yes or no in the comments. Be honest. Of course, the commotion becomes gossip before the elevator even hits the ground floor, and gossip travels faster than any official memo. Within minutes, his daughter is storming down the corridor, eyes blazing. She opens her mouth to demand answers. Why is security dragging someone out? But then she sees who it is, and her face goes completely white. "That's my friend," she says, voice shaking. "We went to community college together. She's been with me through everything. What did you do?" The information hits him like cold water. This isn't just an employee. This is someone who's been in his home, someone his daughter cares about, someone who sat at their table last Christmas, smiling shyly, thanking him for the job that helped her pay tuition. Suddenly, the betrayal feels personal. His daughter looks at him like she doesn't recognize the man standing in front of her. "Did you even let her explain?" she asks. "There's nothing to explain," he answers automatically. The look she gives him cuts deeper than any boardroom insult ever could. "This isn't who you used to be," she says quietly. "Or maybe it is, and I just never saw it." Then she walks away, and for the first time in a long time, he has the sinking feeling that money can't fix this. 2 hours later, the detective arrives. She has the tired eyes of someone who's seen every kind of crime and stopped being impressed a long time ago. She reviews the footage. She takes notes. She asks the usual questions. What was taken? Who had access? What's the motive? The young cleaner sits across from her in a glass-walled conference room, spine straight, hands folded. The billionaire watches from his office, too proud to admit he's anxious. He can't hear the conversation, only see the detective's face slowly shift from bored to curious to genuinely confused. When it's over, the detective comes straight to his office. "The suspect won't talk," she says. "Won't explain what she took or why. Won't defend herself. She just keeps repeating one sentence." He feels his jaw tighten. Which is, "If I explain, people will get hurt. Especially your daughter." Let that sink in for a second. They search her apartment that afternoon. The USB drive is exactly where she said it would be, in a shoebox under her bed. But when they plug it into an isolated computer, something doesn't add up. It's not a folder of stolen secrets ready to sell. It's encrypted files, transaction records, dates, wire transfers, offshore accounts. The detective frowns. "She didn't steal money," she says quietly. "She stole evidence." Evidence of what? That question hangs in the billionaire's office like smoke. Because now there are only two possibilities. Either she's playing a very long, very smart game, or he just destroyed the only person brave enough to protect him. His daughter still isn't answering his calls. So I want you to imagine this for a moment. You fire someone you thought was beneath you, and then realize they might be the only person standing between you and total ruin. What would you do next? Sometimes our worst mistakes aren't the ones we make in anger. They're the ones we keep defending long after we know we're wrong. Her phone goes to voicemail every time. 23 calls. 4 hours. Nothing. She ignores his messages. She doesn't open the door when his driver goes to her apartment. She vanishes into the city like smoke. And somehow, that doesn't feel like guilt. It feels like someone smart enough to know she's not safe. The encrypted files glare at him from his screen. Dates, account numbers, Cayman Islands, Singapore, places where money goes to disappear. Here's the problem. Why would a night cleaner with student loans and a bus pass have access to records that even his CFO needs clearance to see? His daughter finally responds on call number 37, not with a phone call, with a text. "We need to talk." She shows up at his penthouse that evening without knocking, still in her humanitarian division clothes, eyes red from crying. That same expression she wore the night they got her mother's final diagnosis, grief and disappointment twisted into something heavy. She doesn't sit. She stands by the floor-to-ceiling windows and tells him everything he never bothered to ask. How she met the cleaner in an intro to accounting class at community college. How that girl held her while she had panic attacks during chemotherapy nights. How she sat with her in hospital corridors at 3 a.m. when doctors brought bad news. How that same girl worked 3 jobs after her own mother died, trying to put herself through night school to become a forensic accountant, because she believed numbers tell the truth even when people don't. This wasn't just an employee, his daughter says, voice breaking. She's family, the sister I chose, and you threw her away like trash. Then she asks the question that breaks him more than he wants to admit. When did you become the kind of man who doesn't see people anymore? She leaves before he can answer, maybe because she already knows. That night, he can't sleep. If this girl really wanted to steal, why leave the USB where police could find it? If she wanted to disappear, why stay in the same city? Why encrypt the files with a password any decent forensic team can crack in 2 days? Nothing about her behavior makes sense for a criminal, so he does something he hasn't done in years. He shuts off his ego and starts reading, not scanning, not skimming, reading. Board minutes, merger projections, wire transfers with his CFO's signature. And then he sees it. A pattern. Tiny discrepancies in the numbers. Amounts shifted. Dates moved. Money quietly peeling away from legitimate accounts and slipping into shells. 3.7 million here, 5.2 million there, small enough to hide, big enough to ruin. Over 18 months, it adds up to something terrifying. Worse, the trail leads not away from the company, but straight through it, and out the other side into the arms of the very company they're about to merge with. This isn't theft. This is a hostile heist in slow motion, and the merger isn't his crowning achievement. It's the knife at his throat. He needs her. The girl he humiliated in front of everyone. The girl the world thinks is a thief. The girl he fired. She still won't answer. So he does what he never thought he'd do. He asks the detective for help. They meet in a cheap coffee shop in a neighborhood where billionaires don't belong. The espresso is bitter. The mugs are chipped. The detective listens as he lays out what he's found. Then she asks the question he's been scared to say out loud. If she discovered all this, why didn't she come to you? He knows the answer before he says it, because he wouldn't have believed her. A night cleaner accusing board members of fraud? He would have called it paranoia. Or worse, insubordination. So she used the only system he couldn't ignore. She forced herself to be fired. She forced a criminal investigation. She dragged the police, and now the FBI, into it. Because she knew the only way to make him listen was to blow up her own life. The detective makes a call. 30 minutes later, he's sitting across from the girl he fired in an interrogation room that smells like bleach and regret. She looks smaller than he remembers, more tired, but her eyes are sharper than ever. The detective gives them a moment alone. For a long second, they just stare at each other. Then she says the words that will haunt him for the rest of his life. I didn't steal from you. I was trying to save you. But you wouldn't have listened if I asked. And then she proves it. She shows him how she noticed the first discrepancy while cleaning the CFO's office. Documents left on a desk that shouldn't exist. How she started photographing everything with her phone during her night shifts. How she built a case using what she learned from forensic accounting textbooks and late-night lectures she streamed on a cracked phone screen. 3 board members, offshore accounts, shell companies, a merger designed not to grow his company, but to hollow it out. At the center of it all, the man he trusts more than anyone, his right-hand executive, 20 years at his side, planning his fall behind his back. Pause here and ask yourself, could you handle finding out your closest friend has been sharpening a knife for your spine for years? She explains it all with painful precision. Once the merger closes, the conspirators will tank the stock price with staged scandals and leaks, short the stock and profit off the crash, vanish with billions in offshore accounts. Employees lose pensions. Shareholders lose everything. His daughter's humanitarian division gets cut first, non-essential. That's why the cleaner couldn't go to him. Because the moment the conspirators realized someone was watching, they'd erase the trail and disappear. So she chose the one path where they couldn't silence her quietly. Public humiliation, police involvement, a mess big enough that nobody could sweep it under any rug. And what did she get for trying to save him? He called her a thief, in front of everyone. The apology that finally comes out of his mouth feels small and pathetic, but she doesn't waste time on anger. "We don't have time to feel sorry," she says. "The merger closes in 68 hours." And then the threat gets personal. Her phone rings, unknown number. The call lasts maybe 15 seconds. When she hangs up, her hands are shaking so badly she drops the phone. Someone broke into her apartment, destroyed what was left of her evidence, and left a message on her bedroom wall. "Stop digging or the girl pays." They're not talking about her. They're talking about his daughter. Suddenly, this isn't corporate crime. This is war. The detective takes their case to the FBI. The agents are impressed, but not enough. The paper trail is too clean. The conspirators have danced on the legal line for years. The USB proves money moved, but not who gave the order. The photos show gaps, but not guilt. No smoking gun, no arrests. And the merger is now 48 hours away. If they don't find something stronger, the company dies, and his daughter's future gets buried with it. So he does the only thing that makes sense. He takes them both home. The girl he fired, the daughter who no longer trusts him. His penthouse becomes a war room. They have 48 hours to stop a billion-dollar heist. For 36 hours, they work like people who know there's no plan B. The cleaner, no, the investigator, teaches them how to read the numbers the way she does. His daughter uses her access to the humanitarian division's accounts to cross-reference dates. He does what he's always done, thinks 3 steps ahead, strategizing how to corner predators who believe they're untouchable. But still, something's missing, until the cleaner reveals the one thing she didn't want to show. Her last card. She has recordings, real voices, real conversations. The conspirators talking openly about the merger, the fraud, the offshore accounts. She secretly recorded them while cleaning. Phone hidden in carts, in plants, under tables. It's everything they need, and also the one thing that could ruin her life forever. Because in their state, those recordings, illegal, inadmissible in court, a felony all by themselves. Using them could send her to prison for wiretapping, criminal record, no career, no future. His daughter begs her not to do it. "There has to be another way," she pleads. The cleaner just smiles sadly. "Some things are worth the cost," she says. "I didn't risk all of this just to let them win at the end. So let me ask you, if you had evidence that could save everything you love, but using it would destroy your own life, would you use it? Tell me in the comments. Save them or save myself? Which one would you choose? The recordings play in the silent penthouse. The conspirators laughing, bragging, detailing the entire plan. It's the perfect confession, and completely unusable, unless they can find a way to make these men incriminate themselves again, legally. And the clock is down to 18 hours. How do you catch predators who are always 3 steps ahead? You make them believe they're already 4 steps ahead of you. The plan forms in the early hours before sunrise. If they can't use the illegal recordings, they'll need fresh ones, this time recorded under a judge's warrant. And to get that, they have to make the conspirators feel invincible. The cleaner suggests the bait. It's simple, brutal, brilliant. Stage another firing. This time, even worse than the first. Make it look like he's turned on her completely, like he believes she made everything up for revenge. Let the whole building see it. Let gossip deliver the message. He doesn't trust her. The executives are safe. The threat is gone. Then watch what men like that do when they think they've won. The performance happens in the main lobby during peak hours. Hundreds of employees, phones out, eyes watching. He doesn't warn the cleaner how harsh he's going to be. He can't risk her performance looking fake. He calls her delusional, accuses her of manufacturing evidence, says she tried to destroy loyal executives because she was bitter about being fired. Every word lands like a punch. On her, on his daughter, on himself. Security escorts her out again, rougher this time. People whisper, some record, some shake their heads. The conspirators will see every second, and that's exactly what they need. Meanwhile, the real trap is being wired. With the detective's help and a judge's signature, his penthouse is transformed again. Every room is legally wired for audio and video. Every conversation is admissible in court. Then he makes the call. He invites his right-hand man and the two board members behind the fraud. He tells them he's sorry for doubting them. He says he's ready to celebrate the merger. They come. Of course they come. Predators never turn down a victory party. The evening starts polite. Champagne, small talk, business as usual. But the billionaire knows exactly how to make people talk. He plays his role, the broken man, the humbled CEO, the guy who finally understands that they were always on his side. He thanks them for their loyalty, for protecting the company from false accusations. Slowly, the tension drains from their shoulders. The CFO makes the first crack, joking about moving money where auditors don't like to look. The head of legal smirks and mentions that the merger paperwork is bulletproof. And then his right-hand man leans back, wine glass in hand, and asks the question that seals his fate. Did you really think a cleaning girl could outsmart us? From there, arrogance does the rest. They brag, they flex. They explain how they built shell companies no one would question, routed money through legitimate-looking international accounts, timed every transfer with real business events, planned the exact scandals that would tank the stock post-merger. They laugh about the stupid girl who thought her little investigation could stop them. They mock the billionaire for losing his edge. They talk and talk and talk. And every single word is being recorded perfectly legally, with a warrant. He lets them gloat. He keeps refilling their glasses. He asks curious questions that sound like admiration but are designed to pull every last detail into the open. When they finally ask why he invited them tonight, he gives them half the truth. He says, "You were right. I'm tired of fighting everyone. If this is how the game works, I'd rather be on the winning side." They smile. They think they own him. That's when the door opens. Federal agents step in with badges and handcuffs. The room freezes. The CFO tries to bolt for the balcony like there's anywhere to go from 40 stories up. The head of legal starts shouting for a lawyer. His right-hand man just stares at him. "Your reputation is finished," he spits. "Even if we go down, your company dies with us." But this time he's wrong, because the confession is airtight. The numbers don't lie. The USB, the photos, the legal recordings, the financial forensics, everything lines up. The merger collapses by morning. The conspirators are indicted. The parallel board is exposed. The scandal is huge, but so is the truth. 6 months later, the world looks different. The young woman walks across a graduation stage, cap and gown catching the light. Bachelor's in forensic accounting, honors, job offers from 3 federal agencies. In the crowd, 2 people are cheering louder than anyone else, the billionaire and his daughter. She's no longer invisible. At her new job, she's already helped uncover 2 more major fraud cases. She's becoming exactly what she dreamed of being, the person who sees what others miss. The billionaire has changed too. He still comes in early. But now, he stops at the front desk. He learns names: security guards, cleaning staff, cafeteria workers, the people who keep his empire standing while everyone else walks past like they're furniture. There's a framed photo on his desk now. 3 people at a graduation. Him, his daughter, and the girl he once fired in front of the whole company. Not as his employee, as family. Because that's what they are now. Chosen, earned, real. He did fire the wrong girl. But in losing her, he gained something more valuable than being right. He learned that the people you overlook are sometimes the ones who save you. That trust isn't weakness if you're willing to fight to earn it back. And that sometimes the least important person in the room is the one holding the whole building up. So now I want you to pause and think. Who are the invisible people in your life? The cleaner, the driver, the security guard, the cashier, the people you see every day but never really see. What would you lose if they disappeared tomorrow? Tell me in the comments. I see you. If you believe no one should be invisible, And if you love billionaire stories where the people at the bottom flip the entire script, hit subscribe. Because the next story, it's about a billionaire who went undercover in his own company as a broke intern. And what he discovered there will make this one look like a warm-up. You don't want to miss it.